Hello and welcome to another news update for Star Wars Legion, and today we have more information on the Kashyyk release of late 2021, with Yoda and the Wookiee Warriors fully revealed and ready for pre-order. Atomic Mass Games has begun to roll out the red carpet for several more units that we all knew were coming, but we're finally having some information start to materialize before us in the form of box art, release dates, and some renderings of the sculpts. On top of that, we are also getting a live stream today, and they tend to give us a little bit of leaks and teases here and there during the live streams. But at the time I'm recording this part of the video, the live stream is currently not going on. So I'm going to start this video off by covering what was leaked to us on social media, namely Instagram and Twitter this morning. And at the end of this video, I will check back in and top off with any new information that they may have covered during the live stream. So the second part of this Kashyyk wave seems to be the largest segment of it, as we are getting 4 new units, 3 of which are going to be for the CIS, being the Super Tactical Droid Commander, the Magnaguard Special Forces units, and the Dwarf Spider Droid, who is either going to be a support or heavy unit. We're not exactly sure yet. I'm still leaning towards support myself, especially when you consider that the Persuader class tank is going to be coming out soon, and that will almost certainly be a heavy. And that would also mean that everything in this wave is going to mirror each other, with both the Republic getting a commander, a special forces, a support, and a heavy. But of course, the 4th box in this release wave is going to be the FLUTTERCRAFT, a Wookiee support vehicle who we haven't really seen too much of yet. So let's go ahead and start by taking a look at that Wookiee FLUTTERCRAFT, as it is going to cap off all the Wookiees for this quote-unquote sub-faction, or at least for the time being. And with no information on the unit stats right now, I don't really have much to talk about in these videos, other than basically my opinion of the model itself, and other miscellaneous conjecture. So right off the bat, you guys know I'm not the biggest fan of Wookiees. Though I will say this, after doing like 5 videos on them, I am very tempted to get that Wookiee Warrior expansion, solely because I love that Chieftain unit profile so much. I could legitimately see him becoming a competitive unit, one who just linebacks any incoming Jedi. But anyways, back to the FLUTTERCRAFT. I have to say this is the most interesting unit in terms of I have no idea what this thing's rules are going to be. Obviously, it's going to be a flyer. It may or may not have a compulsory move. And I believe we had something teased about it dropping bombs at some point in the past. I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see what this unit gets and how it's going to operate on the battlefield. But it's a unit that I know I'm not going to be getting myself, which is honestly kind of nice. It feels good to be like, oh, here's something I'm not going to need to buy and paint. As a wargamer with piles and piles of unpainted models, it's kind of nice to be like, I think I'll pass on this one, and then pat yourself on the back for being a responsible adult, even if it is the farthest thing from the truth. But don't worry guys, I will 100% be doing a unit review for it, with all of my hyper-casual headcanon meta-analysis. But the model for the FLUTTERCRAFT itself, while it does look awesome, I looked at it and I immediately thought to myself, this is a nightmare to paint. There's pretty much no way you're not going to be able to do this thing in sub-assemblies. And just breaking it down off of this one image, I think there's like maybe 4 different sections that I would leave unassembled until after painting. That being the bottom half, the Wookiees themselves, the top half, and then I think the rotary blade on top. It just really looks like a doozy. That being said, if you're really excited for this model, it may be a ton of fun for you to paint. Sometimes long, tedious projects like that are very entertaining if you actually really want to be painting the thing that you are painting. And I will say this, when you have a model that has this kind of wiry skeleton frame, like the top of this FLUTTERCRAFT, and you finish painting it all and you put it together, it does have a very, very satisfying effect. And when you or other people pick it up and look at the inside and all the details that you see even in the shadows underneath there, it can definitely be super rewarding. But if you are a less experienced painter, definitely familiarize yourself with the concept of painting in sub-assemblies, because this model just isn't going to work if you don't do that. But that's all we got for the FLUTTERCRAFT for now. Like I said, it's going to be super interesting to see what this thing actually does on the battlefield and what its rules entail. And even though I'm not really interested in collecting Wookiees, I am genuinely interested in what this unit's going to be. But that is going to move us along to our CIS support unit that is going to be the Dwarf Spider Droid, a unit that I knew was coming and I predicted it in one of my older videos. Though I will say that's a pretty safe prediction. I'm not claiming to be any sort of prophet here. I think me predicting the PK series droid is way more impressive than me predicting this, as almost everyone said it was going to come at some point, and here it is. And with our first look at the model, I gotta say it's pretty much exactly what everyone expected it was gonna look like. There's not a whole lot of ways you can really pose the dwarf droid. It's kind of a model that just is what it is. But it looks really good, and it's going to be extremely quick and fun to paint, especially with those big red glowing eyes. I think you can honestly paint this thing by simply spraying it with lead belcher from Games Workshop, hitting it with Nuln Oil, hitting it with Agrax, and then dry brushing it with some lead belcher again. Spend some time making the glowing eyes look good, and bam, you're done. Seriously, I love how easy it is to paint the CIS faction. It legitimately took me about 14 hours to paint my Saber tank. Meanwhile, I did the AAT in under 2. So while this model isn't really mind-blowing, I definitely love it, and I'm probably going to be picking up the max amount of units for it. But my big hang-up for the Dwarf Spider Droid is going to be, what rules is it going to have? Because logically, based on all the media we've seen it in, it's going to be something that is armored and likely has a high-impact weapon, which isn't exactly the most exciting or useful unit to throw on your list. But I'm thinking just maybe we're going to see the blast keyword in there, and the B2 Ha spam is going to get a whole lot worse. And because of that, I'm really interested in seeing this unit card also. Are they going to spice it up a bit more than just being a walking impact armored vehicle? Or is it going to be rather vanilla? It's definitely a weird form of anticipation, but one that I'm still looking forward to. But one last thing to note before moving on from the Dwarf Spider Droid is that with this box reveal, we see that it says Dwarf Spider Droid on it, not Dwarf Spider Droids. In a lot of the media you see these guys in, they are often deployed in pairs, and I think people thought they were going to show up in Legion that way. In fact, I myself thought it was going to be that. But it's looking like you're going to be getting one of these guys per box, which obviously means they're going to be one per unit, and implies that the individual droid is probably going to be more powerful, rather than having a unit that's going to take massive hits to their attack pool when they lose a model, like the Stap Riders, which is actually pretty good in my opinion. It means the individual spider droid is going to be more powerful than we initially anticipated. That being said, I am a little bit worried about the dollar cost when it comes to buying this expansion. I really hope it's not more than $20 for one model. And if it ends up being more than $25, or God forbid, more than $30, I think people are going to start getting really upset. Just my 2 cents. But next up, we did get more leaks for the T-Series Tactical Droid, including the box art and a new pose for the model. And first up, I gotta say, I absolutely love the box art on this model. It looks really good, and I love the contrasting colors. However, I gotta say that hands on the hip pose does not look very good on the actual model itself. It's just not a very dynamic pose for a commander unit who is very often the centerpiece to your army. Also, as some people on the Star Wars Legion Discord have pointed out, his shoulder is actually dislocated in this image. It looks like they either accidentally photoshopped out the ball joint for his shoulder, or perhaps just rendered the image wrong. But it is just a little bit embarrassing considering that sometimes those B1 battle droid arms end up like that. And if that is a reoccurring thing on the Super Tactical Droid, it will become debacle levels of notoriety. So yeah, not a whole lot going on with this model here. We've already seen different poses of the Super Tactical Droid with paint jobs on them, so the only real updates here are the extra pose and the nice box art. But once again, a unit that I'm very curious to see the rules for. Is he going to be just a better version of the T-Series, or will he be his own thing? And will we have named commander variants of him? Who knows? Only the future. But last up, we are going to have the Magnaguard. And next to Yoda, these are probably the most anticipated models from this wave. And though we have seen these guys in their painted versions, here we get to see a few more variations of the sculpts that come in this box set. And what is there to say about them other than they look absolutely fantastic? I'm very interested to see what these guys can do on the battlefield. I think we all know they're going to be some sort of Guardian unit, but I have a feeling they're going to be quite nasty in melee combat. And I'm really hoping they don't end up in the same pit as the Royal Guard, who up until this point have been the poster children for melee Guardian units. Also, word on the street is that this box set is only going to include 4 Magnaguard models in it, which, much like the Dwarf Spider Droid, implies that the Magnaguards themselves are going to be a lot more powerful, or at least I hope they are, but does also give me a little bit of concern about the dollar cost of these guys. If it's a $35 box for just 4 models, I'm going to be a little bit upset here, as it would mark a sharp increase in cost for Star Wars Legion in a relatively short period of time. And while the time frame may not line up with the rest of what's been going on in the global economy, it might also be an example of shrinkage in our hobby, where the product becomes a victim of inflation, and rather than increasing the price, they simply decrease the amount of contents in the box, in this case, the amount of plastic. Though I could totally be wrong about that. It could be 4 models that have a whole sprue of upgrades, perhaps torsos with and without cloaks, though we haven't seen any models without cloaks yet. So I don't know, I'm kind of clenching my teeth a little bit on this release. I'm just really hoping it's not going to be 4 models for $35. But with all those models wrapped up, let's talk release dates. All of these models are slated for October 1st. Hopefully there's no delays. Hopefully no cargo ships capsize, clog up any canals, and no trains get derailed somewhere in the Mojave. And for once we just get a smooth release. But that's it for the morning updates. I'm going to go watch this live stream right now. I'll get right back to you guys in one moment with any valuable information I may have picked up from it. And it turned out to be an X-Wing stream. One with really bad audio problems at that. How disappointing. But I am very much going to be on top of all of these releases, any information going on with the Kashyyk wave. I will be doing news update videos as fast as I can after the news is released, so please subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, that way you know what's going on just as fast as I do. Until next time guys, take care.